Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another tabletop simulator version of Clue. In today's video, I'm going to read you a story about where there's smoke, there's fire. Sort of like a reference from Smoke from Mortal Kombat 1, except it was mentioned in this book, which is an old one. So here's the story. It was in middle of the night. Mr. Body's mansion was on fire again. Orange flames and black smoke poured out of the open windows. There were firefighters everywhere. Firefighters on the ground. Firefighters manning hoses. Firefighters on ladders. Firefighters inside the burning house. I almost said building, but it's house. From the safety of the mansion grounds, 3 pajama-clad guests were watching the firefighters as they wrestled the blaze. "Some housewarming party," said Professor Plum. "Yes," agreed Miss Scarlet. "It seems Mr. Body got the house a little too warm." Body got the house a little too warm. I already said that, my apologies. It does seem a horrible shame," said Mrs. White. "He just got the place fixed up after the last fire. Then he has all his friends over for a party to celebrate, and wouldn't you know, the mansion is burning down all over again." She looked sad, but that was because it was dark out. If Plum or Miss Scarlet had looked closer, they would have seen a wicked grin. Okay, here's the next part. "You don't sound very sad about it," quipped Miss Scarlet. She wrapped her bright red bathrobe around her body more tightly. "Oh, but I am," said Mrs. White sadly. "So very sad. First of all, I'm so sorry for Mr. Body, and don't forget, if this place burns down, I'm out of a job." "I wonder how the fire got started this time," said Plum. "Good question," agreed Miss Scarlet, eyeing him closely. "Where were you when Body's new fire alarm sounded?" "I was in bed, lighting a candle," said Plum. Then he saw the suspicious look on Miss Scarlet's face. "Oh, but I put the candle out before I went to sleep." Statement number 1. Remember that, ladies and gentlemen. "What about you?" Mrs. White asked. "I started a fire in the study fireplace," said Miss Scarlet. "But I promise you, I made sure that the fire was out before I went to bed," which is statement number 2. Or should I say statement number 2, according to this story. "Looks like we all came close to starting a fire," said Mrs. White. "After I went to bed, I remembered that I left a pot of potatoes cooking on the kitchen stove. But I went back downstairs and turned the stove off before the fire started." Statement number 3. "Mrs. White, your statement is a lie," Professor Plum accused. Statement number 4. Okay. "No, Professor, your first statement is a lie," answered Miss Scarlet. Statement number 5. The 3 guests were soon screaming at each other, but the fact was, one of these 3 suspects had indeed started the fire, and when you figure out who it was, you'll see that within their 5 statements, there was a total of 3 lies. Who started the fire? And here are the hints, according to what it says. To solve this mystery, you need to complete this chart. Mark all of these statements. T for true, or F for false. Here are the statements again. The statement reads, the first one. Statement 1. Put the candle out before I went to sleep, which is Plum's statement. Said Plum, excuse me. Sorry, I'm off reading. Statement number 2. The fire was out before I went to bed, said Miss Scarlet. Statement number 3. I turned the stove off before the fire started, said Mrs. White. Statement number 4. Mrs. White, your statement is a lie, Professor Plum accused. Statement number 5. No, Professor, your first statement is a lie, said Miss Scarlet. For example, let's say Professor Plum started the fire, then his alibi. I put the candle out before I went to sleep would be false, and his statement that Mrs. White is a liar would be false as well. Why? Because if he started the fire, then her alibi is true. So Plum has two number of lies. This one's false and that one is false. So now it's time to figure out who started the fire by playing this tabletop simulated version of a game. Now, I read this story on a website called Archive, and you know, so the 3 suspects are technically right over here. Well, actually there are 2 suspects, but I know there's only one more hidden there, which I'm not going to say who, but you probably already aware, even though that spoils of what I was about to say. But let's get started on this game. As usual, I'm playing this on solo, and for some reason, playing Tabletop Simulator on my laptop, there's a bit of errors when it comes to tables and missing pieces. So we're just going to move on from there. So I'm going to be playing as Mrs. Let's see. I'm going to be playing as Professor Plum. I was going to go with Mrs. White or Miss Scarlet or Mrs. Peacock, but I'm going to go with Professor Plum because I love purple. So 6, 7, 8. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So here's an 8 right here. He's going to the study. And I'm going to make an accusation that it was definitely Miss Scarlet. And she did it with the candlestick that contains the candle that started the fire. But where on earth did she put it at? Well, I'm going to say it's in the study since Professor Plum is in the room. So now it is time to figure out who did it. It's time to figure out if this is the correct accusation. Let's flip these 2 over. Yes, it's Miss Scarlet with the candlestick. And the last one is definitely the study. So I apologize if I accidentally spoiled it, even though I didn't mention the name or the weapon. But as you can tell, the book of that story gave us only 3 suspects that were responsible with the fire. So I know for a fact that it was definitely Miss Scarlet in the study with the candlestick. So now it's time to figure out if this is the right solution. And it turns out it is. So here's what it states. Miss Scarlet in the study with the candlestick. If Professor Plum or Mrs. White started the fire, there would be only 2 lies among the 5 number statements. Which, of course, if we pay attention to this part of the page, we know that Professor Plum has only 2 lies. Scarlet and White are possibly telling the truth. But let's get back to the solution. If it's Miss Scarlet, her alibi is a lie. So is the statement that Mrs. White is a liar. And so is the statement that Professor Plum is a liar, for a total of 3 lies. But according to this part, there's only 2 lies. And I can only assume that it's either Professor Plum's or possibly Miss Scarlet. Or it could be Mrs. White. So I'm going to assume that Miss Scarlet could be lying. Basically because, let's see, which one is Miss Scarlet saying? The fire was out before I went to bed, which I have a feeling it didn't. And another statement is this one, which is Plum's statement was a lie. So that means that Miss Scarlet was actually the liar. Even though I'm not sure of it because I haven't read the physical copy of the story, but I can only guess in my perspective and my opinion. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. This is a short video of this whole Clue mystery story. And it is Miss Scarlet with the candlestick in the study. So I hope you enjoy this kind of video, ladies and gentlemen. And be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Turn on these notifications so you won't miss a single upload. And I'll see you all in the next video.